Is there a gun culture in Ottawa now? Has a gun culture arrived in the city? That's what some city officials are saying, and police officers. In fact, Acting Superintendent Chris Renwick spoke at a meeting of Crime Prevention Ottawa last night. He said it tells us, the recent number of shootings, that the gun culture has arrived in Ottawa. It's a problem we're going to be dealing with. We are joined by Tracey Wilson, who's chair of the board of the Canadian Coalition for Firearm Rights. She disagrees with that characterization, to say the least. Tracey Wilson, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Mark. Thanks a lot for having me on again. It's nice to talk to you again.
Nice to talk to you again. And so what is your reaction when you hear the police saying that there has been the arrival now of a gun culture in Ottawa?
Well, I've got a couple things to say about that. So, first of all, gun culture is alive and well in Ottawa and in Canada. However, this is my take on it. I took my 14-year-old daughter up to the hunt camp on the weekend, and we practiced on targets with our hunting rifles and walked the trails up the mountain, and we worked on some gun perches. Monday, we're having a range day to introduce some new people to the sport. She's going to bring another teenage girl. We'll teach them some basics, let them try some various firearms. We're going to enjoy a nice day out in the sun with good company. Now, this is Canadian gun culture. The problems facing Ottawa right now are gang culture, crime culture, drug culture. Personally, I find it a little offensive and lazy and inaccurate for Superintendent Renwick to dismiss the current situation with such a broad and sweeping statement targeted at the most law-abiding, scrutinized people in Canada. I mean, it's lazy.
Why do you say it's targeting law-abiding people to talk of a gun culture?
Because when we do have gun culture, we've, Canadians have been using firearms since, this country was founded. So there's a big difference between gun culture and crime. To relate, criminal activity to, a very rich and historic culture that we do have in Canada it's wrong and it's lazy. It's hard to fight crime. I said this last time I was on the show. It's hard to fight crime, but that's what's necessary. To just dismiss it with, we have a gun culture problem. We don't have a gun culture problem. There's 2.2 million of us in Canada. If you had a problem, you'd know it. And to write it off as not gang related, out of the 51 shootings, only 11 have resulted in charges. So who did the other 40 shootings? If they know it's not gang related, is that because they know who did it? No, they don't. So, it's just a very sweeping statement. It's not a gun culture problem. Whether it's gang related or not, this is crime.
Sure.
We are not criminals.
I understand the point you're making, and I think it comes back to the idea of that guns don't kill people, people do, and it also, I think, speaks to the idea that if there had been an increase in the number of people being strangled, we wouldn't be talking about there being a rope culture in Ottawa.
Well, exactly.
We wouldn't be talking about the means by which people are doing something. We'd be talking about the culture of violence or the culture of, a homicidal culture or something like that. Not we wouldn't be describing the tool in the context of the culture. But is there something worrisome about the fact that more criminals are using guns? I think that's what the police are getting to, is that disputes that used to be settled with a fist fight or a knife are now being resolved with people shooting each other.
Actually, firearms are the least used tool in violence in Canada, in Ottawa, in any of this. So although there may be a rise in actual shootings in Ottawa, it isn't the most used tool in assaults or homicides. I think there are underlying problems. The Ottawa Police Services, by taking a lazy narrative, the real issue is gangs. It is Ottawa's drug business. They've been giving those sections more staff and resources, which is totally commendable. That's exactly what they need to do. But maligning a vibrant and law-abiding community is not going to end these crimes.
Right.
So,
but you're saying it's not the most common form of assault, but at the same time, it is increasing, right? The number of people who have been shot, the number of shootings has increased.
Right.
So guns are being used more often with regard to crime in this city than before. Is that worrying?
It's worrisome that there is a rise in crime. Absolutely. The Ottawa Police Service brass, they're very careful not to answer any questions revolving around whether there are any other obvious trends in where this violence is coming from. Now, there has been no information released if any of these, if the perpetrators were law-abiding firearms owners, licensed. I highly doubt they are. So to equate that to a gun culture, I just focus on crime. You've got a crime problem. You've possibly got a drug problem. There could be other mitigating, forces at work here, but it's not about the guns. You've definitely got a crime problem, and I think they've got to focus on that. These broad, sweeping statements, they're just not accurate. And I don't think it does anything to make the public feel any safer. It's just not accurate.
Tracey Wilson, thank you very much for your time today.
Thanks a lot, Mark, and enjoy the rest of the day.
You too. Tracey Wilson, chair of the board of the Canadian Coalition for Firearm Rights.